YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, coming to you from the Golden Monolith, and no, it's not Sigmald's monument where he's trying to compensate for something. How dare you think that? Welcome to the battle. This is going to be DBD Melonlord, aka Rubber Duck of War, running up against Chavez here, and it's going to be a male Glade Lord versus Archaon. The male Glade Lord, not a lord that is picked very often, and I'm going to have to kind of pause things right off the bat with this battle because it is going to get started fast and furious. Be a whole heck of a lot of fun. Right off the bat, the Deepwood Scouts got some shots on a Marauder Horseman, and you can see that Chaos has Vanguard deployed 4 Marauder Horsemen with Javelins. They are backed up by several Chaos Warhounds. The main Wood Elf line is going to be 4 Eternal Guard down this flank, and then the Glade Lord, the male Glade Lord, up here on the Forest Dragon, which, by the way, I love the patterning on this. Very, very pretty. We've got 3 Deepwood Scouts, and then this is a Shock Cavalry-based build for the Wood Elves, which you can do now with the Wood Elves. He's got a couple of Great Stag Knights here, which I really like. Great Stag Knights. Cool unit, sometimes a niche, but in the campaign, they're just a great unit, period. In multiplayer, obviously, they have their uses, and we do also have the Regiment of Renowned, what is it, the Wild Riders. Yeah, this is the Wild Hunters of Kurnos. So a pretty powerful unit here, too. They've got an anti-large bonus, so it's an interesting use for them to be put to use there. So let's hit play. Or sorry, the Chaos Army is actually mostly Marauders. The front line is ones with shields. The back line is ones that have armor piercing. There are a couple of Chaos Warriors with great weapons mixed in here too. Interesting to see the pick with the Warriors with great weapons. Be curious to know why. Archaon is here. He's got the piercing bolts of burning and the flaming sword, and of course his sort of Slayer of Kings. Going to be his sword that gives him all the extra power. So Chaon's a pretty tough unit. You can see here that immediately the Great Stag Knights are going to go for these Chaos Cavalry here, and if they catch them, obviously it's going to be a good engagement. Even the Warhounds backed off, but now these Stag Knights buried in a little deep here. They're going to no doubt want to pull out of that. We're going to see the Warhounds moving and looking to come in here and collapse around, probably hoping to cause some pressure on the Wood Elf Archers. There's a Branch Wraith that I didn't call out earlier that's going to be supporting here. See the Dragon. Oh, nice catch here by the Dragon on the Warhounds. Look at that immediate terror route on all 3 units. So a nice play there by Rubber Duck of War. Speaking of which, he has a YouTube channel. I'll have it linked if you want to go check out his YouTube channel. He does great videos in Total War Warhammer 2 on the multiplayer, so feel free to go check it out, and I appreciate him sending this to me. I always love seeing his battles. I think he does a good job. So he's Eternal Guard are going to be engaging the Marauders. They'll do okay against Marauders, though. I mean, that's probably not even a fight where they would do very well for very long. It's really, the damage is going to have to be done with the Deepwood Scouts. And they are Swift Shiver Shards. At least one of them is here, so they can do a lot of damage. Branch Wraith is holding up Archaon for the moment. You can see one of the units being chased out here. The Wild Hunters are going to go try and stop this Chaos Warrior, but that's a tough unit. They're going to be supported by some great Stag Knights. That's what they're going to need to take out that Chaos Warrior, and the armor piercing will be very beneficial in that regard. Remember that great Stag Knights are good against armor, and they're really good on the charge. They're not particularly an anti-large unit, though they can sometimes fight in that capacity. But they're an anti-armor unit, and look how well they do out here with the combination of the Dragon. Just absolutely crushed that Chaos Warrior with great weapon, which is a pretty powerful infantry unit. Yeah, that's Swift Shiver Shards unloading here. These Stag Knights are going to have to protect against the Marauder Horsemen, who are, I mean, understandably trying to kill the Deepwood Scouts. The Swift Shiver Shards are very powerful ammunition, and Archaon is copping a lot of it right here. This is not where he wants to be in life. He does have some Chaos Warriors coming to back him up, and as we would expect, the Marauders are actually doing pretty solid against Eternal Guard. Eternal Guard, they're not a unit that's really great in many melees. Sometimes they can be a good pick, though, depending on what you're fighting, because they do have armor-piercing anti-large, being such a cheap unit. We got Archaon, very nice bombardment. That piercing bolts of burning was extremely well done by Chavez there. And, however, Archaon here is going to get absolutely shellacked by the Forest Dragon, who gets some really good attacks, plus the Branch Wraiths attacking, and then the Helm of Discord drops, which is going to really drop a lot of melee defense and attack on Archaon and make him considerably weaker. And then on top of that, you had the Great Stag Knights supporting there, at least momentarily. They're going to go over here to get rid of this Marauder Horseman, which is threatening the Deepwood Scouts. I mean, just an impressive showing here. Going up against Archaon head-to-head, and then living to talk about it is kind of an impressive achievement. Yes, there was support and items used here, but I mean, that Glade Lord, this is a big knockout for him. Archaon is very powerful. He is a very tough lord in melee, and not to be underestimated. Not to be underestimated. He can really put some knockout blows with his Slayer of Kings and the other abilities that he possesses. Flaming Sword of Ruin can buff him even further. He can crank out like 1,000 damage when he gets into the right spot. It is nuts what Archaon can crank out, and he is going to be routed and unceremoniously killed, or actually probably pushed off the battlefield based on what I'm seeing here, by the Glade Lord. So a simple Glade Lord making a mockery of the ever-chosen. Who's chosen now, Archaon? Who's chosen now? I really do like Archaon. He's a pretty solid Lord pick for Chaos these days, I think. Interesting build for the Wood Elves here. Obviously, it was risky because you could get overwhelmed by the number of Chaos. And honestly, that is the strategy I would take if I was going to pick Chaos. I would have done things a little different, whether I was right or wrong. I wouldn't have brought any Warriors with Great Weapons. Again, might be a good reason why they brought Warriors with Great Weapons, because of the new capabilities of the Wood Elves, but I probably would have focused on the shielded, cheaper Chaos Warrior variant and shielded Marauders and just tried to absolutely overwhelm the Wood Elves and then have some mobility to back that up. Maybe Dragon Ogres to potentially handle any Zoats. The Wood Elves decided to bring Zoats. And of course you'd need plenty of mobility to keep up with stuff like Deepwood Scouts. Let's see what happens here. So yeah, Wood Elves going to pull off a victory here. Nice play. Good showing of the male Glade Lord, who is not a very frequent pick, obviously, for the Wood Elves. People tend to like the female Glade Lord more. Let's go. We'll go take a look at their abilities here in a moment and kind of break that down. But I thought it was a really good performance by this Stag Knight here for sure. This one not bad, like not great, but I mean it did okay here. The Wild Hunters, again, not great. Decent amount of damage, just not a ton of value behind it. But then again, you're given what targets you're given. May not always equate to the most value, but it may be what you need to do. The Archers, however, dealt a lot of valuable damage, so very well done there. And then, of course, the Glade Lord dealt some pretty valuable damage too. Archaon, look, this is why I was saying this guy's not to be trifled. Look, he got beat up bad by that dragon. You all saw it, but still, look how much damage and value he pulled down in a very short amount of time. So, GG to both players there, Rubber Duck of War and Chavez. Let's go over here, and I wanted to take a look at this not a multiplayer battle, but a custom battle screen. Let's take a look at the differences between the male and female Glade Lord. So we got the Glade Lord here, 360 firing. Oh, okay, yeah. Let's get this in here. We got the Glade Lord, and it has a lot of different potential mounts. Let's see if the mounts are the same. Yeah, it's the same mounts for the female Glade Lord, so no difference in mounts. But if we take a look, maybe the stats, it's not stats even. The stats appear to be exactly the same, hit points wise and everything from one to the next. It's really the abilities. So if we take a look down here at the abilities, we got the Eye of Kurnos, which is extra base missile damage for all allies in range, Arrows of Kurnos, and Prey of Anathrema, versus the male Glade Lord is more melee focused. It gets Call of the Woods, which buffs melee of nearby units, and then of course it's got Foe Seeker and Deadly Onslaught. So a more melee focused unit. In general. So in any case, that's going to be the difference between the two. And again, when you're playing Wood Elves and their focus is on missile troops, understandable why the female Glade Lord would be a more common pick, because you're trying to buff the missile units in your army and use her superior missile capabilities with the Prey of Anathrema and the Arrows of Kurnos to good effect. Those are both very useful and good abilities. So again, not surprised to see that more often. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed this one. HeirofCarthage signing out for now. Again, go check out Rubber Duck of War if you'd like to. I'll have his channel linked. Appreciate him sending this my way. I will see you all soon with some more action in Total War Warhammer 2.